Morning, everyone, to another episode of Rendezvous with Anza Saqib on CxO Global TV. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform for all C levels within Pakistan and the world. We have another very interesting guest with us today, Mr. Jawwad Khan, who's the general manager for ABN AMRO Group. And he is someone who's a very, very interesting personality, has tons of experience, and we're very excited to talk to him. Thank you so much for joining us, Jawad Saab.
Thank you, Anza. It's ABM Infotech, ABM Group, part of ABM Group.
Right. Right, absolutely. Sir, you are someone that's extremely inspiring, and everyone would like to hear about your own personal journey. So, where you went to school, what courses you studied, how was your journey, where you grew up, and how did you end up becoming the general manager of such a big company?
So I would like to answer the last part first, that what helped me to reach where I am is basically learning and positive attitude. So this has always helped me throughout my career to reach where I am right now. And it comes from academia, which is mostly I spent my time and in Army Public School and the NUST, which is more of military kind of training discipline. So
Absolutely.
that has inculcated me the curiosity and the learning attitude. So it has helped me throughout my career. And if you can see that I have been jumping and hopping in technology sector from IoT or instrumentation to telecom, information technology, security. And right now, the group I'm working with is into marine and aviation sector mostly.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
so from technology, I'm dealing in from drones to ships to sophisticated telecom and electronics equipment for military and for commercial enterprises. So
That's
this
brilliant.
is this has helped me a lot. And based on this technology
So,
and
you're basically
development,
an engineer by profession. Like, what did
yeah,
you study?
I'm basically an electrical engineer and
Okay.
into technology for last 20 years, because electrical engineering is mother of all engineering. So all
Absolutely.
disciplines which is originates from electrical engineering, which is electronics, computer science, IoT, and data science, programming, and
So
list goes
ever
on.
since you were a kid, did you always know this is the journey this is the path that I'm going to take? Because back then, I remember now parents are more susceptible to kids, taking up other professions. But back then, it was always like you were the star child if you were studying medicine, for example.
My wife is doctor, so I've been exploring the field of medicine for quite some time now. So actually, I have never planned to be like in a specific uh, industry or specific area all the time. Um, so I had interest in computer science and programming and networks. So during my studies, so I started off my career with Nadra, which is more into databases and CNIC and election data and analysis of that data. So I spent some time there. Then I said, no, I want to do engineering, something related to engineering. So I jumped into instrumentation control, explored it, and then I decided, it's not my thing. So then I moved to telecom. And telecom, I spent good about 10 years in the industry, from 2G, 3G, 4G, broadband networks, and which was very interesting. Then telecom sector seems to be like maturing because of arrival of 4G and
Yes,
the trends around
absolutely.
it. Yeah, so I decided that I should do something else. So at that time, I had an opportunity to explore information technology with Huawei Middle East. So they
Hmm.
were expanding in the region aggressively, and I just jumped into unified communication, data centers, networks, and start selling those things. And then when I relocated to Pakistan, I got the opportunity to explore software sector, and it has been good so far. So it's just the
Mashallah.
pulse.
Right.
It's just the pulse, like. Uh, so for developing countries like Pakistan, we need people who are like they're diversified in technology and they understand technology. So that is
Absolutely.
need
So
of time.
you're very right. Very right. Sir, you have massive years of experience in the field of IT and technology and everything. A lot of times these days, because, I'm always keen to learn, so I keep asking people. But I've noticed that the general public in particular, even from the corporate sector, like from banking or let's say the managerial side of things, HR, supply chain, a lot of people throw around words like IoT, like data science, like RF engineering, but they're not very aware of how these technologies affect our present and definitely our future. So if you could briefly just explain the scope of work, like what exactly is the Internet of Things for the not general
So
public.
IoT
That's
has
all.
been there for last 70 years, I guess. So it was rebranded as IoT now, but if you look at the history, like instrumentation and control has been there for last good about 70 years. So process industry using IoT or instrumentation and control since like 7 decades. So sensors, different kind of sensors are there in plants. So PLCs collect data, and that data is being stored and analyzed and displayed for control and processes. So IoT is just connecting those sensors to the internet and doing the same things over internet. It's nothing different. So it's being rebranded, and that's my take is data science is more of making sense of data. So once you collect data from either sensors or from business systems or from the environment, so you need to analyze it. So one way to analyze is to do the traditional statistical methods to make sense out
Empirical
of it.
research.
uh, the other way is to use data science algorithms to explore things, which is very interesting. And I've been exploring data science for quite some years now in financial sector. So
Hmm.
it has a bright future. And coming to the telecom, so everything needs to be connected. So you need either Wi-Fi or a 4G, 5G connection or a fiber connection or a DSL connection to transmit those data to the servers or make things work. So for me, the technology is interconnected, and the best use is to make sure that how you can benefit out of it, what value you can drive from it. So data is
Right.
there, tools are there, people are there. So there you just need to connect them. Yeah.
So you have been working in sales for quite many years, and they say about it's difficult as it is creating the right kind of sales pitch, and especially for the field of IT, especially in a polarized market like Pakistan, where people are still going for manual bookkeeping and everything. So it's like literally like selling ice to an Eskimo. How do you think you can formulate the right kind of sales pitch with a technology-driven business?
A good salesman is the one who can sell anything to anyone. That's the best part of the salespeople. My philosophy of the sales pitch is problem solving, presenting a
Problem
solution to
solving.
a, yeah. So once you understand the customer's problem, you find a solution to it, and then you tell the customer that how this solution solves his problem. Then your sales pitch is done. So 90% of people fail in sales just because they don't understand customers' problem. So sometimes you need to work along with the customers to realize or to find out okay, what the actual problem is. Most of the time, even customers don't know what their core problem is, and they were focusing on the wrong direction or some other direction. So working closely with customers, which means in order to work with them, you have to have good relationship building with them, and you understand them, and they should trust you. So unless until you don't develop trust, understand their problem, and then you present a solution which solves their core issue, you cannot sell. So a good sales pitch is based on presenting the right solution to solve the problem. So that's how I have been doing sales all my life, and I was able to sell telecom and IoT networks to oil and gas sector in Middle East. I worked with the operators across Middle East Africa for digitalization. deploying broadband network. So, like even people don't realize it in Africa, connectivity is a major issue, is worse than Pakistan. So,
Absolutely.
in order to help them, so 1 MB connection, if you deliver it to someone at home or in office, and it will change life of people, right? So once they have access to YouTube and digital content, so they can do self-learning and do a lot of other things. So working across different sectors, so different sectors have different problems. So you work closely with them, identify the core issues, and develop a pitch around it, select a product, solution, technology, and boom, it's solved.
So, just to, if you don't mind me adding to that question, I know you've been basically selling to businesses, right? And how is it different from, creating a sales pitch for a customer? Is it any different? Like for directly, if you just do it for your consumer.
So consumer is again customers. So every, like, I'm a consumer as well, and I am a B2B sales guy as well. So the consumers definitely have some problems. Every consumer has some problems. So you need to identify a niche that what solution you want to solve, what problem you want to solve, and then you find a right solution to it. And then once there's a match and people realize that it's a right fit, your product will sell in that niche market.
Brilliant.
So, in order to be successful in consumer sales, it's more of research work, which are most people, and they don't do research. So
Mm-hmm.
they just read some content, then get excited about it, and then develop a sales pitch around it, and try to force people through nowadays digital content marketing and
Influencer
Facebook, social
marketing.
media, and
Yeah.
emails and messages. WhatsApp is now becoming a spam tool. So you receive a lot of WhatsApp messages for sales pitches. Without, people don't realize that. So they need to target the right audience, establish a trust with those customers, and then move on and target that niche and be number one in that niche.
Absolutely. Sir, you mentioned how some changes that have occurred in the field of IT and digital marketing in particular, but generally because you have when you came back to Pakistan, you obviously saw you were at the brink of an evolution in the field of IT in Pakistan. How have you seen this field evolve in the let's say last 5 to 10 years?
So if you read media and newspaper article posts, so you will find that this Pakistan IT industry is booming. So once you critically compare a Pakistani market with a regional market, I'm not going far off to West or Europe. I'm talking about
The MENA
region, which
region?
is India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Middle East, to just limit the scope. So Pakistan, if you compare it, the growth seems to be an exponential, but if you critically analyze it, the growth is actually slow. You might be surprised to hear that.
I
So
am
yeah,
actually.
so the reason of slow growth, which in terms of when you compare it to the region, is because the fact that the amount of investment which is being poured into IT is very marginal compared to other sectors. Still, the businesses are focused on investing in other areas than the technology itself. And because of pandemic, if you look at the first thought they have came to the business world is to cut the IT budgets because that's more dollar intensive, that's more capital intensive. Um,
Absolutely.
so so from the framework perspective, from the product perspective, if you look at Pakistan technology space, the kind of products which are being sold in developed and Middle Eastern markets, they are far more advanced. Their budgets are more, and compared to the Pakistani market, and people are still because of the short of the budgets, so they select the low cost products to make them solve the problem, not fully solve the problem, but at least meet the compliance requirements and the basic
Like
minimum
the
level.
bare minimum. The bare
Yeah, their
minimum.
bare minimum
So
level.
you mentioned something
So
very interesting about, sorry, I was actually very interested in one of the things that you said. And since we, are a little short on time, I believe that with your experience, I would really like to know that, the Prime Minister has announced these special technology zones now. and everyone's been really excited, like you mentioned in the news. However, what is your personal opinion with regards to this, and will it actually end up creating a more conducive environment for new businesses?
It's a very good initiative by the Prime Minister Imran Khan, and I think Pakistan needs hundreds of special technology zones. So
Okay.
if you look at the success factor, like aeronautical complex, PF aeronautical complex in Kamra,
Yes,
so it's
Amra.
become a hub of aviation technologies and associated industry in that area. Similarly, HIT is a very success story, which is heavy industries,
Taxila.
Texila.
Yes.
So a lot of work is being done to develop
Free of market.
products and technology around it. So you have seen companies mushrooming in that area related to that sector. Similarly, more IT parks are required, more specialized technology zones are required. So because technology zones, once you have a specific industry specific technology zone, like Faisalabad is for textile. So everything which is related to textile is being available in Faisalabad. So this is the biggest advantage. So people can work and explore businesses in that area. They can create new products in that area. They can hire people, and that those people can be exported as a talented human resource to across the world. So yes, it's a very good initiative. The only setback which has been there in Pakistan for such large projects and good initiatives is zones becomes real estate business. So unless
Absolutely.
until government is determined and they make sure people are focused on the primary objective of the technology zone, and they develop a culture around it. So, allocating a land and declaring it as a special economic zone or special technology zone doesn't solve the problem, because people need to go there, they need to live there, they need to work there. So unless until you provide them a conducive environment, which is work, play, and entertainment, combine it together into a zone, then people will start moving to that places. They will start living into that place in those places, and start concentrating on the real business, which is developing products and solutions, and maybe manufacturing products and solutions and exporting it to outside, or locally selling it locally. So, like if you look at Dubai, so they allocated a lot of free zones and special economic
Absolutely.
zones. Like Dubai Internet City is one of the classical examples.
Absolutely.
So they developed the whole environment, which is ecosystem. So people who are operating businesses there, they have a place of residence and entertainment and education for kids. So it works in a
It's very
holistic
holistic. I understand. And sir, I must commend the fact that you brought this up, because a lot of times, academically speaking, or in the corporate world, we don't pay much attention to leisure, play, and residential complexes as well. But we've seen successes all around the world when you wish to establish such an economic zone. That is definitely a very pertinent point. Sir, you also mentioned the pandemic in particular, and with that, we do know that it came at an unforeseen time. So a lot of businesses suffered losses. A lot of businesses also they made a lot of profits. So it has, been a learning experience for us all. How was your business affected during this time? Were there any measures that you took
So if you
to
look at our
improvise?
group portfolio, it's mostly into travel and aviation, which is majority part of our business. And travel and aviation, because of pandemic, it went down. And if you look at information technology, the core business is mostly we do outsourcing when we do international projects. Because of pandemic, there was a travel ban and threat, so the business was significantly down. So so what we did with our team, and we focused on developing and improving our capabilities, which means more of internal trainings, more of certifications, getting ready for time when this pandemic is over, and like educating our customers, engaging with our customers remotely, which is mostly on Zoom and go to meetings, and doing some training sessions and learning exercises together to keep it smooth. So now we are ready and things are opening up, and we didn't shut down for even a single day. So only
Oh,
10,
wow.
15 days which is the peak time. We managed to we were working from home, and now like a split work schedule, and we are going to customer meetings and attending business usual.
Sir, but do you think, that the aviation industry will take some time to recover, or do you think there will be a massive boom in it, especially post-pandemic? I still know that there are heavy losses being suffered.
So pandemic, it's a new world order, right? So it's nothing with things which were worked in the past will not be retained in the future, right? So we need, all businesses need to adapt to this new changing environment, which means adaptation to working from home, presenting or developing businesses which are more of diversified base. It's not concentrating on one thing, which normally people do. So diversification is important. It's more of tech based, and more of I would say is digital content creation kind of a thing, right? So things which
Right.
are sold and managed digitally, that has a future. So
Absolutely.
if people are building still conventional products and relying on conventional things, which majority of people will still do, but for technology people, so they need to be more used to working remotely, developing solutions and implementations remotely. So that's more important.
Okay.
So it's a good exercise for Pakistan. I've been working from home for last, like I started off in 2006. So I had a good experience working from home and a remote resource worker for the Middle Eastern African market. So Pakistan has just started up, and I think with current trends, um, especially in the technology sector, so there will be very good future for people who will adapt earlier on this framework.
Right. Sir, we had such an intellectual discourse that it was very hard to keep track of time. But towards the end of the interview, I would like to thank you for your time, and also how has being a part of CXO Global Forum impacted your life?
I know Kawal for quite some time, and we discussed a lot of ideas from time to time, and this CXO forum was one of the ideas. So how it impacted my life is the forum brings open-minded people in technology sector who wants to connect and collaborate. And because of this connection and collaboration and open mindset, and so it's a very good opportunity to learn from others, and I'm very fond of learning. So connecting to people and learning about them, this has helped me a lot to improve connections and understanding of the people and the market as well. So CXO Forum is doing a good job, and at least bringing open-minded people and providing them an opportunity to learn from each other and collaborate with each other, which
All
is
right.
very good for the industry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jawad Khan. It has been an absolute honor.
Thank you very much, Anza.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to catch you again with one more interesting guest next time. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.